Welcome to Behind the Scenes, presented by Amato Media, and your host, Ryan Amato.
Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about epoxy, and the question we are asked all the time, what can you put epoxy on top of? So listen, easy answer. You can put epoxy on top of almost anything that you can think of, such as a hardwood floor. Are you tired of that dull, scratched up hardwood floor and you don't want to sand it all off and refinish it, create all that dust? We have the solution. The solution is epoxy. We're seeing more and more epoxy floors go into not just the garage, not just the basement, not just the warehouse, but the living spaces of your home. So kitchens, bathrooms, living rooms. It just creates a one-of-a-kind floor that really is just hard to duplicate, even with the same colors, the same pigments, the same people doing the floor. No two floors are alike, and we'll explain that a little bit shortly. You can also put epoxy on top of vinyl floors, tile floors. How many times have you thought, I don't want to rip up this tile floor for one reason or the other? Possibly there's asbestos underneath the floor. You definitely don't want to disturb that. And to have asbestos removed is quite costly. We can go right on top of it, and you won't see the grout lines. We can definitely get rid of grout lines. So it's an easy solution to fix a floor, a troubled floor, or one in an area you want the wow factor. It could be a metallic floor. A metallic floor is simply we take a clear epoxy and we add in metallic pigments. It almost looks like makeup powder. We add it in. It can be really any color, any look that you can imagine. It can be created. And we talked about no two floors are alike, and they're not. A lot of different things happen with metallic floors. They self-level, so as we do the floor and you look at it one day and we come back the next day, it can look totally different. You can add a lot of different things to an epoxy floor. You can spray it with different solvents to create a totally different look. So again, we can put an epoxy floor on top of almost any surface, but the key is using the right type of epoxy, professional products, not the products you get from a big box store. The issue there is when a professional is putting down an epoxy floor, we measure epoxy in mils. That's going to be the thickness of the floor. Typically, a professional floor should take you at least at 20 mil, and we're looking on our end at 30 to 50 mil. The kits from the big box stores are at tops 3 mils, 3.5 mils, maybe 4 mils. So for longevity and durability, we want more mils. I should have shirts printed up that say, we want more mils. Because if you go with those thin coatings, take a look in a garage of someone who used the big box store epoxy. It's going to look great at first. It's going to look almost similar to the floors that we do, except the year after, year and a half after that, everywhere where they drive in and their tires are sitting, they drive in after driving all day long. Those tires are hot. You're going to have a loss of adhesion where those tires are. So you'll see it. Just look. You're going to see a track running in and out of the garage where the tires are parked with a thin coating. Maybe you get away with it. Most likely you don't. Every floor I go to and I see that they've used that product or those products, there's a failure. And what happens is we can't just go on top of it. We have to remove that entire coating. So it's worth it. I know we don't want to spend the larger amount of money up front, but it actually is more affordable to spend the higher amount up front rather than having to continually maintain the floor. Or really, we've done a lot of floors where the homeowner did it a year ago, and now we're back grinding it off, and they're paying for us to do the floor again. They would have saved all that money, no matter what epoxy company that you use, to use a high quality, top of the line epoxy floor. Our epoxies we use are the same ones we use in a warehouse, where they have forklift traffic. They're walking on it. They're using it heavily all day long. You get the same epoxy that they're getting. There is no difference. We use the same top coat. We want to use a 100% high solid epoxy, and they're not all the same from manufacturer to manufacturer. You're going to see a lot of different ways that people do epoxy floors. If you get a few estimates, they're probably all going to tackle it a different way. Which way is the correct way? Well, it comes down to preparation is number one. Who actually is installing the floor? You can't assume just because you hired company A that you're going to get the same floor that company A did for your neighbor. It could be a different installer. They could mix the product differently. They could put it down thinner. They could put it down heavier. You just never know. So that's why epoxy is so tricky. It's hard for a homeowner to take out a professional product if they can obtain it. Their cure rates and the dry time is so quick on the products, especially the top coats that we use. You have to, once you mix those, you have about 10 to 15 minutes to get it on the floor, spread it out, and hope that it looks good. Because if not, it's going to dry and cure in the bucket. It gets very hot. That's why it cures. And you're just out of luck. You've wasted that material, and the materials are expensive. On another end, materials and shortages are across the board on almost any product you see when you go to the grocery store, or you've ordered anything, such as a dishwasher, a refrigerator, something for your car. I've just waited 9 months for a new radio for my car. There are shortages all over. It's no difference in the painting and epoxy world. We're seeing significant price increases and delays on obtaining materials. So one tip is to make sure that you plan ahead. If you want your garage done and you want to lock in that pricing and make sure that the products are obtained now. We really don't want to have somebody wait and not have the project done for 4 or 5 months, and then we have to tell them, hey, epoxy has now went up 30% and you owe us extra money. Unfortunately, that does happen. It's happening across the board with everybody, and we were just notified of another price increase on epoxy. So it's super important that you plan ahead for any project, whether it's epoxy, you're building something, electrical work, whatever it is, that you plan ahead, think ahead, and act quickly. So that's it for today. I just wanted to let you know that, again, epoxy can go on top of almost any surface that you can think of without having to rip the floor up, that's the huge benefit. I'll talk to you soon, guys, and have a great weekend. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to my podcast. If you're looking for social media content for your contracting business, painting contractors, carpenters, electricians, any type of contractor, please check us out on Instagram at Amato Media, or check us out on LinkedIn. We can definitely help you all out. So have a great day.